Hey guys, we're back once again. I wanted to point out a couple of things on the board of your flight control. I have here a picture I got from the internet. It's a picture of the circuit board inside your flight control. And the one thing I really wanted to point out was this chip right here. I'm just going to put a little square over it with my Sharpie. So that chip right there is your 3-axis gyro and 3-axis accelerometer. That's what has to be, or as close to dead center as possible. If you're off by inch or half inch, it doesn't really matter. But I like to get it as close as possible. So moving right along, here we have, let me turn this over. Here we have the inside of your flight controller. And you can see, let's put that on there real quick, the direction forward. You see an arrow right there, forward. Now I would encourage you not to open up your flight control box. This little feature right here, when you open this, you'll notice two little sponge pieces, little foam pieces that cover this component right here. This is your barometric pressure sensor. That's what tells the computer how high you are, your pressure altitude. But coming back to this feature, this is your 3-axis accelerometer and 3-axis gyro. So I like to keep that as close to center as possible. And you'll notice when I put this back on, it's just sitting on there for now. The word forward, if you were to draw a square, I don't know if that's coming up or not. Anyway, draw yourself a little square right over the W. That's the approximate location of that chip. So, that being said, draw yourself a little square, about a 1/4 inch square, just above the W on the word forward. Okay, so at this point, I like to go ahead and attach the receiver that comes with the radio. The receiver should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires connected to it. Each wire is a 10 centimeter or 4.5 inches male to male connector. And go ahead and install your connector starting from the bottom with throttle. The very bottom is the battery bind slot. Don't use that one. Start with the throttle, then moving up, it's aileron, elevator, rudder, and gear, and then aux1. For your connections to the radio, here you see that each of the wires will connect to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this picture is APM 2.5. Your APM is the APM 2.8. So the only major difference between the 2.5, 2.6, and the 2.8, the configuration set up on this board went from a top fed pin to a side fed. So you're just going to go ahead and connect your roll, pitch, throttle, yaw, and aux, or in our case, the gear. Go ahead and line those up accordingly and install the pins. Be sure to install the correct ones, even though the ones coming off your receiver don't necessarily match. In this case, the first one here is aileron, which on your receiver, that would be the second wire up for aileron. Your receiver should be labeled. just like this one here. So go ahead and connect all your inputs to the inputs on your APM. Something critical we got to pay attention to when we install these wires. You'll notice each of these connectors has 3 wires, black, red, and white. So naturally the black is ground, the red is power, and the white is a signal. That's very, very critical that you get these installed correctly. The signal pin on the APM, here's the one that we took apart earlier. If you notice, if you get brave enough to open your flight controller, you'll notice that the pins are labeled. And it's very difficult to see, but believe me, the top pin is signal, next pin is power, next pin is ground. Just the way we had them installed. Forward, this is for your input side. You have the top is signal, next one's power, next one's ground. Please keep that in mind. Don't mix those. Don't get those wrong. You will fry the board. Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you real quick about your radio. Your radio is a little bit different than mine. I wanted to let you know, please spend some time going through your radio. The receiver that comes with your radio must be bound with the transmitter, or the radio. Please go through the manual, work with your mentors, your teachers, and once you get some fresh batteries in your radio and some extra batteries to get this thing bound up, go ahead and make that happen. Okay guys, here we are with the aircraft in frame, and I wanted to take this time to show you how to locate your flight controller. For this next step, you're going to need 2 pieces of thread or dental floss, whatever you prefer. And I have dental floss here. I'm just going to wrap one end around one of these spindles. I could probably tie it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to twist it. And we're going to take this other end and go diagonally across to the other side. And we're going to wrap that a couple of times. Just kind of keep it as taut as possible. Do the same thing to the other motors. Wrap that thread or that dental floss around there. Come across the other side. And what you'll notice is this X right here. That's pretty much dead center of your aircraft, fore and aft, and left and right. So where that X is, that's where you're going to locate the little square that you've made on top of your flight controller. So for demonstration purposes, let me get this one that we took apart and put that back together real quick. This one, don't know if it's in frame or not, but this one has the X. So I'm going to put that on that airframe. Now I'm going to put my noggin in the way so I can see. And basically what I'm doing is I'm eyeballing straight down, trying to get that square dead center on that X. That's roughly about where it's going to go. Now I'm just going to take my marker and I'm just going to put a mark on my tray. On either side. And then wherever that box is at, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw a little triangle just like this on top of my airframe. Put one there. Yeah, put one there. Sorry, I had to put my big old noggin in the way. So there we have our center located with the tooth the dental floss, and with the box, everything's lined up. We have these triangles here. The purpose of those triangles, once everything's on the airframe, battery, props, whatever wires we're going to connect, everything on the aircraft is there. What you want to do is, before you fly, you want to make sure your aircraft is balanced. It should be balanced. It shouldn't tilt to one way or the other. It should be pretty balanced right at those two triangles. Okay, the kit that you got came with a mount for your flight control. Came with these 4 little blue gummies and these 2 fiberglass trays and these 2 double-sided foam tape. If you choose to use the mount, it's completely up to you. I'm going to show you how I install it. I don't use these. It's completely up to you. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take these gummies and work them into these outside holes. Now, you can do this a lot easier by taking that dental floss that you just used and just kind of wrap it around once or twice. And then feed it through the hole you want to put the gummy in. And then very precariously, very carefully, work that into the hole. What you don't want to do is pull it so tight that you split the head. That's no bueno. So, take your time, feed these in through the holes. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I got 4 gummies into the bottom tray. Now you're going to fit the 4 gummies into the top tray. And one thing you probably notice here, doesn't line up. Not that it has to. That's what I find irritating. That's just me. Might work for you. If you want to give it a shot, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and install this, show you what it looks like. Okay, so I got the board together. I managed to mess up one of these gummies. Tore the end of it off, or not off, but tore it good enough. That's one reason why I don't like this approach. But again, if you manage to get them on without breaking any of the gummies, more power to you. So these little foam pads, you can put one on either end, take apart the foam, take apart the, take off the covering for the sticky side, and you can mount that on there. Noting the forward, and don't forget where you put your X. So in the little video that we just did where we showed you how to locate this, you may want to do that again if you decide to use this flight control pad. What I like to use to secure my flight control to my aircraft is this double-sided foam tape. Now, I said foam. It's not foam. It's gel. It acts as a vibration dampener. So I'm just going to cut off 2 strips here. You can use foam. There's nothing wrong with using foam. You can double it up to increase the vibration dampening. I like to use this gel because it's what I have. Just going to cut it little squares just like that. And I'm going to take off, exposing one of the sticky surfaces. And I'm just going to put it right there on the board. Let's do that 4 times. I probably could have done this off camera. It's all good. Okay, here's the last one. All right. Next shot, I'm going to bring the airframe in screen, and we're going to go ahead and secure that in place. All right, we got the camera and the aircraft in screen. Here we have the flight controller, the F pointing forward. So that means, here's my 1 dot, so I know this is number 1. I know that according to my picture that I showed you earlier, the arrow points forward, the arrow points forward. This is number 1. Forward, forward. I have my little square, and I'm starting to realize that the lines that I drew in my last video were like this. So that's no bueno. I'm going to have to do that again because it should be something like this. So I'm going to redo that off screen, but for now, that's where we're going to mount our speed control. The receiver is not going to dangle out here like that. We really got to secure that somewhere. I will probably secure that right there on the boom with a piece of double-headed foam tape or the gel tape and a zip tie. Then we got to secure the antennas. Try and keep these two 90 degrees apart. This one's nice and small, so it doesn't really matter. This one's pretty long, so we kind of got to take care of that one. We don't want to just dangle and risk getting it stuck in the prop. For now, I'm just going to kind of feed them just like that. So that's basically how I'm planning on locating it. And next time we come back, I'll have it secured in place. Okay, I got the flight control secured in place with those rubber gummies. I don't know if it's on screen or not, but I got my receiver secured down. My antenna wire is going to feed through these zip ties here. I may have to come back and do that again with another zip tie. Basically, we don't want that flailing around because we don't want the prop to hit it. Leave it like that for now. We'll come back and take care of that. So for this next installation, since you have your motors marked 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're just going to plug them in exactly the way you see the numbers here. So my forward right motor, clockwise number 1. Looking for the speed control cable. Here's the speed control cable. You can see it's not long enough. This is where these extensions come in. You just line up the colors, plug them in. Okay, so there's number 1. I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. Again, don't forget that top pin is your signal pin. Secured in place. You see how that moves? That's no bueno. I'm going to have to put a sticky or something in there to secure that. I don't like that. Alright, next one. Number 2 is that back motor over there. But that one is long enough. It does reach. So we'll go ahead and install number 2. Number 3 is that one over there. I'm going to feed that wire back through here. come around the back side here. You can see it doesn't fit. So we're going to get our extension, line up the colors, and slide those two together. Okay, and then plug that one in. The Datco on. Something didn't feel right when I slid that in there. I'll have to come back to that. And number 4, the last one. Is that cut? No, it's not cut. Number 4, the last one, plug that one in. Okay, here we go. All the white cables are facing up. All right. Now we have the flight control connected. You need to clean up some of these wires. Just kind of secure them, tie them down, get them out of the way. You don't want any of these wires jumping around in flight. So whatever you do, make sure they're secure. Secure them as a whole, individually, however you decide. We'll get back to that. But for now, the flight control is installed. That pretty much concludes the assembly of the Junebug with the standard flight controls. Any of the extra features you add, whether it be your camera, I don't know if you see that or not, but these are the 3D printed parts you're going to print for your camera. Is that in screen? Jeez, sorry guys. Your mentors, the NavAir mentors, will be able to help you get these installed.